on. Welcome to the Munson Motorsports YouTube channel. Starting out as we transition into sled work here, behind me you'll see the 650. It's 22 VR1. Picked this thing up a couple weeks ago. Been going through it as kind of like Vermont trail sled build, going from the 23 Boost Assault, which I still have, it's in the trailer. Gonna be building this 650 pretty much exactly how I want a machine to be. Just kind of looking for the best overall balance of everything, going from Gen 4 skidoos that are really tight and nimble. The Polaris's are awesome, super flat, predictable, but they kind of have a little bit of a lazy feel sometimes. So gonna be going through a lot of things, trying to get that sorted. Suspension-wise, got a bunch of stuff coming from Andy Wenslaff. Gonna be trying out some new stuff in the rear that I don't think anyone has gotten to yet, as it kind of just came out this year on the cross-country sleds. Dig into that later. But yeah, starting these series off with mostly the behind-the-scenes kind of build-up and what I've been changing and going through. Gonna have a bunch of front-end changes. Going with some different spindles, playing with some geometry stuff. We're gonna stiffen up the roll bar a little bit. That'll all be documented as we go, but waiting on the spindles also to come back from the machine shop, having those changed a little bit so I can mess with the ski offset. Just a bunch of stuff, trying things out. You know, might get lucky, hit something awesome for setup, might go the wrong direction. I don't know, we're gonna find out. For starters, the first thing we did when we got this was do some color changes. Went through the side panels here, they're originally black, had those painted by a local shop. They did amazing on the color match, as you can see. Went from there, moved on to the hood, got rid of the black hood, went to a white one. Just trying to make something that's a little bit different, but still looks kind of OEM, more like that OEM Plus kind of feel. Nothing crazy, no big wrap here. Gonna get the Polaris logos back on the front there. Those are ordered, they're in stock. Just gotta grab those when I can find time to run to the dealer. Next up, swap the track around. I got a bunch of time-lapse footage I'll cut to in a second here of me pulling the skid out and the clutches off and chain case apart and all that kind of stuff. New to the YouTube stuff, so naturally the battery died and then didn't have a charger out here handy and whatever. So you only get the time lapse of me pulling everything apart, which is probably fine because we don't need 4 minutes of me putting this thing back in there. Up going with 1.5 Camso Storm. This is the same track that I ended up putting on the 23 Boost Assault. Loaded this one up in the same fashion with the ST28 iGrips. Found this to work really well last year in Vermont. All around just kind of gives you enough bite everywhere to where you feel confident and safe if you come up on an icy spot, but you can still really break it free if you have to. I don't know, just works really well for me in Vermont and the way I ride. I didn't have any issues with any of the iGrips pulling out in the Assault. So here's something I don't know how many people have encountered. The previous owner's, boy, it is dark as hell. Hang on, let me get a light. When I got this thing and I swapped over the 1.25" track to this 1.5", I noticed a ton of black marks on the bottom side of the tunnel protectors up front. I don't know if the track had been super loose for a while when they were running it. When I got the sled, it wasn't terribly out of spec, you know. It might have been a little bit loose, but I didn't really pay much attention to it because I knew the track was coming out. So anyway, swapping all this over, and I saw that tons of black marks all over there. I mean, burned on rubber, probably, I can't say 1/16 of an inch, but it was thick. So I said, well, this little 650 is gonna need everything it can get in terms of help up top. So I decided to yank the tunnel protectors out, cut them down, angle them a little bit more so we get more clearance there. So even if I do get lazy and run the track a little bit loose, it's not gonna balloon up at speed and end up rubbing on there, taking away a mile an hour. Not that this thing's gonna make or break any records, but didn't want it affecting anything. So got some time lapse of that stuff going on, me knocking those angles down and taking them back together and throwing them on in here. Okay, if you made it through the time lapse, I'm gonna cut over here, check out the shocks that just showed up. All this video is kind of going together a little bit scrambled because I've been doing stuff and not filming, and now I'm trying to film in between things to make the video not seem terrible and weird. Probably still gonna be kind of shitty, but that's the way it goes. We're learning, we're figuring it out. Moving on. Bunch of shocks, springs, stuff's back from Andy. Had one issue with one shock, the adjuster somehow got a little goofy in shipping. Everything was bubble wrapped up in good shape, but this is motorsports, things happen, you know. Could have just got jostled the wrong way and that had enough from a little manufacturing defect. Little bump, could have moved something out of position, but I have some footage we'll cut to real quick of the adjuster leaking on the other one. We're going to dual rates up front, similar rates to what I run on the Assault. Went back and forth with Andy, gave him my feedback and information on what I ran last year. He spec'd the springs out. Dual rate on the center shock as well, or front track shock, whatever you'd like to call it. High-low adjuster there, high-low adjusters on the ski shocks. Also, on the ski shocks, added the rebound adjust shafts. I'm excited for switching to these rebound shafts. Should be pretty cool to have that adjustability on the Walker Evans. In the past, I had kind of just swapped everything to Elkas and never really looked back, or on the Assault, as you'll see in some other future videos, that thing has KYB Pro 40s on it from Ian at Monster Performance. But I'd never really given the Walker Evans a fair shot, so I figured this time around, let's work with someone who knows these things inside and out and see how it goes. I should point this out. These are the 2.0s off of the Assault. Since that has the KYBs on it, these had been living up here. So that's about it for this one. We'll fade it out with some more time-lapse stuff of me assembling the front track shock and the one ski shock that is good to go. And yeah, that'll do it for this one. Stay tuned for, you know, some installation videos of all this suspension stuff. Gonna have that skid in and out 1,000 times between putting this stuff in so that I can move it around again. I mean, it has those solid rods, but it just doesn't feel right moving in and out on that when there's no give at all. So skid will come in and out, do the high gear stuff, do this, do that, back and forth. Whatever, dude.